I'll never forget the moment his laughter simply disappeared. 1 second, the cafe was buzzing, friends talking over each other, glasses chiming, warmth spilling across the room as everyone gathered to celebrate his 40th birthday. Lucas's laugh rose above it all just like always, bright, open, impossible to ignore. And then I ruined it. I leaned forward, trying to be witty, and said, "Careful, everyone, he flirts like this even when I'm not around." I thought it was lighthearted, the kind of teasing couples do. But the instant the words slipped out, I saw something shift in Lucas's eyes. Confusion came first, then something heavier, something that dimmed his whole face. He smiled, but it wasn't real. It was tight, polite, the kind of expression you give when you're swallowing a reaction you don't want anyone to see. He raised his glass, thanked the group, but when he looked at me, the warmth that had always been there was gone. We drove home in silence. Streetlights slid across his features, highlighting the tension etched there. I tried filling the quiet, commenting on Ava's toast, raving about the dessert, but his answers were clipped, his gaze fixed on the road. When we got home, he set the leftover cake on the counter and said, flatly, "You embarrass me." Just that. No anger, no raised voice. I laughed nervously, brushed it off, told him it was only a joke. He didn't respond. He changed clothes, got into bed, and turned away from me. I lay awake, assuming things would settle by morning. They didn't. The next day, he kissed my forehead out of habit, but it was an empty gesture. The distance grew quietly, but steadily. He still spoke with kindness, still smiled at neighbors, still handled chores, but the small touches, the soft glances, the affection woven into the everyday, they vanished completely. At first, I kept telling myself he just needed a little time. Maybe the joke had stung more than I realized. But days slid into weeks, and every effort I made to reconnect washed up against a wall of polite detachment. I would try to touch his hand, make him laugh, whisper that I missed him. He would nod, or simply drift away. I started analyzing everything. The tone of his voice, the way he avoided eye contact, the fact that his phone stayed glued to him now. For a while I feared there might be someone else, but deep down, I knew this wasn't about another woman. It was about that moment, one careless attempt at humor that had cut deeper than I understood. Lucas began staying out longer. Hours at the gym. Drives with no explanation. Showers late at night, long. Running water masking a silence we both allowed to harden. Nights were unbearable. The bed felt too big. I whispered apologies in the dark, tried to explain myself, tried to reach him. He would meet my eyes, heavy and distant, and say, "It's not the joke. It's what it showed me." Those words echoed in me. What had it shown him? That I craved a laugh more than his dignity. That I could turn him into a punchline without thinking? No rewriting of the moment could undo the fact that I'd placed myself center stage at the cost of his trust. A month passed without a single touch. No hugs, no playful nudges, no spontaneous kisses. Our home stayed the same, but I no longer felt like I belonged in it. One evening, I finally asked the question that was eating me alive. "Do you still love me?" He met my gaze and answered softly, "Love doesn't just disappear. Respect does." I broke then, crying in front of him for the first time in weeks. He handed me tissues quietly, and after that night, he didn't reach out anymore. I tried everything, his favorite meals, handwritten notes, small thoughtful gestures. He appreciated each one with gentle gratitude, but nothing thawed him. When I placed my hand over his at dinner, he slipped his away with heartbreaking gentleness. Then one day, I came home and found him packing a duffel bag. My chest tightened. "Are you leaving?" I asked. "I'm staying with my brother for a bit," he said calmly. "We need some space." I wanted to beg him not to go, but no words came. Before he walked out, he paused and said, "You made a joke." And suddenly I understood. He had stopped seeing me as the person who protected him. I had become someone who used him as material. Months later, he returned, only to collect what remained of his things. We spoke politely, like former friends who remembered the outlines of each other, but not the heart. When he picked up the last box, I whispered, Is this final? He hesitated, looked at me with tired softness, and said, I don't hate you, but I can't love you the same way anymore. Something in me broke that night, and I can't get it back. After he left, the quiet felt different, heavier, filled with everything we had lost. Time moved on. I started writing again, gathering pieces of myself I had neglected. Sometimes I walk past that cafe, the one with the dim lights and rich smell of roasting beans. I hear laughter from inside, but it doesn't cut anymore. I've learned that love doesn't always go out in flames. Sometimes it fades slowly when trust fractures, when the person you were isn't the one your partner thought you were. If I could step back into that night, I'd keep the joke to myself. I'd take his hand under the table, meet his eyes, remind him that the quiet, private moments between us were worth more than making a room laugh. But there are no rewinds in life, only lessons. Mine came wrapped in an empty bed, a silent phone, and the realization that some wounds don't heal just because we wish they would.